So this is from a series of stories I think I read a couple of them to Georgia and Eowyn yesterday. Well, I'll just go into it. The bell's ringing. Summer of Killing Pitbulls.
Are we ignoring the bell?
Yeah, we're ignoring the bell and we're being quiet. The Summer of Killing Pitbulls. When I was 13, I became the last living person in Arroyo Grande, California. I slept wherever I wanted. Sometimes that meant in the back room of the JJ's Market in the cooler. Not like it was cool anymore, but it seemed safe. Sometimes I'd sleep on the beach or in the taxidermy shop or on the roof of the women's club. But a lot of the time, I would sleep in the antique store on Branch Street because the glass case filled with guns from behind the glass case filled with guns from World War II. And I dream of killing Jerry's in Viet Cong and wake up with my fist gripping some old German rifle with a $300 price tag that didn't even work. I wore a couple of old leather cowboy holsters with blue flowers beaded on them, and the tag said that they were owned by a Chumash woman who raised sheep outside of Nipomo in the 1890s. And the guns that I holstered? They were an automatic Beretta pistol and a mini Uzi that I'd gotten out of the meth house on Hyde Street. The Uzi didn't really fit, so I just slid the clip through the holster and kept my elbow on it so it wouldn't fall out all the time. There were cases of bullets still in the meth house, so I'd go there and I'd fill up my backpack every week or so, but it was kind of sketchy because the Pitbulls still hung around there, and even though no one was feeding them. And that's why I had the guns. I used the guns to kill Pitbulls. I was scared of Pitbulls, but I also ate them. They bred like wildfire, and there were competing packs of them. One night, while I dozed in the video store, I saw 30 or 40 of them chasing a deer out onto the swinging bridge, and in 5 minutes, there was nothing left. I was an awful shot then, and I guess that's why I stuck so close to the automatic weapon. But that meant they were messy kills, and if I shot a dog while in a pack, sometimes I couldn't get to it to clean it before the other dogs were protecting the body, or a rival pack was dragging it away to eat it themselves. When I did get the meat, I'd eat as much as I could and make craft projects out of the bones, and I tried to cart the guts and buckets out away from my freaking haunts so that the smell wouldn't attract other dogs. I had a pile of skulls that I arranged in the museum display window, and after I found some hot glue sticks, I used a lighter and glued 27 teeth to a particularly enormous jawbone and made a crown of sorts that I placed on top of the pile of skulls. It looked so cool. It looked so cool that every time I passed it, I would get shivers. I started growing a beard too. I was only 13, but I was growing a beard. That's what happens when you start eating Pitbulls all the time. You become a man quick. One time, though, it was night, and I was at the Oceano Beach, and I piled up my clothes and guns and my bag on the sand, and I went swimming. It was one of those nights where the waves were coming in fast and hard and loud, and the seals were out trolling for fish, looking so much like a handful of black labs that it almost made me tear up. And I was out floating on my back past the waves, listening to it all in the dark, moonless night, when I heard my Beretta discharge. I could see dark shapes moving around my pile of belongings on the beach, and I just watched in silence to see if it were people. But they were too low. Obviously they were dogs. It was a few Pitbulls, but not all, mutts mostly. 10 dogs, maybe fewer. "Hey!" I yelled. "Get away from there!" I don't know if they heard me over the waves, but my yelling upset the seals who started barking. And then the dogs sniffed at the wind and turned in my direction and started barking too. They were lean, desperate dogs, hungry and weak, and they would have come out after me if they could have, but the battery of the waves was too strong. So they waited. They hunkered their mangy fur into my clothes and waited for me to come in. It was long past 3 in the morning when the moon finally came up over the ocean. I was still floating. The seals were gone. The waves were calmer. and the dogs were fast asleep upon my belongings. But as the moon, red and full, cast its glow upon the animals, they could not help but stir each other, forgetting me entirely, to rise, howling, and chase the moon's great arc across